So today we have a handful of affordable fragrances that smell double their cost, at least in my opinion. And of course, we're talking discounter prices. A lot of these cheap scents that you might find on discounters still retail typically for, $80 or a bit more. So I'm not saying that an $80 scent is worth $160. Again, I'm referencing the discounter prices of these. A lot of these you can have for $40 or even quite a bit less than that. And so that puts these right in line with some other more expensive premium smelling designers, in my opinion. And for me, this is based off a couple of things, one of which being the quality of the product overall, everything from the scent, which is most important, but even the presentation on a lot of these is really good and above average for this price range, but also uniqueness and overall character of the scent. I think all of these stand out in a specific way, and these aren't some forgettable cookie cutter cheap scents. So if you're on a budget and you're really trying to stick to it and you don't want to spend a lot of money, these are some really good options. Make sure you shop for some of these. Check them out. Use the links down below. They'll take you to discounters for the best prices. First one is Rochas LO. Now this one's been talked about a lot. You've probably heard of it. You might even have it. But it's got blood orange, juniper berries, pineapple in here. Around, I think it's $40 or so. Testers do come with a cap, so you can save even a bit more money there, an extra couple bucks off of that. If you go for a tester, you still get that full presentation look as seen right here. The only difference is going to be the box that it comes in, probably a plain white box versus, a blue box, I'm assuming. To me, that really doesn't matter because I throw the boxes away anyway. So you'll have to make that decision yourself. For me, it's always worth it to save a couple extra dollars and just get the tester with cap. I've done a video on myths and stuff like that as well. Some people might say that the testers are fake, or they're stronger, or they're weaker, or they expire or have expired. All of that is, false. And you can watch that video on my channel if you want more in-depth information on that. But back to Rochas LO itself, it's a great aromatic scent for men. Fantastic stuff. Great atomizer. Again, presentation-wise, really holds up. This could easily pass for an $80 to $90 scent. In fact, it kind of does. This smells pretty similar to Dolce & Gabbana K, EDT, EDP, a little bit of both, but this is worlds better. I would take this over K any day. In fact, I don't even wear K. I really haven't worn it all that much except to test it for our first impressions and all of that stuff. It's just something I don't like. It really doesn't work well for me. The new one came out, I'm not even buying it. But this stuff here is great and could easily pass for a much more expensive designer scent. Next up we have, let's see if I can get it turned around, Kenneth Cole Copper Black. Cool little 50 ml bottle here, not much to this one. But the note breakdown is what reeled me in on this one. It's got whiskey, vanilla, apple, and leather. I mean, that is perfection right there on paper. That's something I look for. Bottle presentation does look nice. I like the copper look to it. Very sharp and definitely fits with the name. This one is really, really good. Better than you would expect for a Kenneth Cole scent. And let's be real, not many of us are sitting around waiting for the new Kenneth Cole fragrance to come out. And so going into this one, again, the note breakdown sold me, but I was a bit skeptical. This might not be one of the best boozy scents you've ever smelled, one of the best boozy leather fragrances, but for the price, it might be one of the best cheap boozy scents you've tried. One of it. It's not the very best. There's other options out there, but at this price point, it's really hard to go wrong with. I think you would be impressed if you tried this one out. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they go into this expecting, a Killian level quality scent here, a boozy scent for the price of this. That's just not going to happen. You're never going to get there. But I do think at the price point that this one falls into, it could go for quite a bit more than that, and I still think it would be a great product. Next up, we have Lattafa Assad, and this guy actually smells, it's $20, and Dior Sauvage Elixir on discounters is $150, so there is a big spread between those two. And it's true, this smells a lot like Sauvage Elixir. It is impressive, it's shocking, and honestly, if you've purchased Sauvage Elixir and then you end up buying this clone, there's probably going to be a part of you that just dies inside because they're that close. I know for me, I was, again, to use the word, I was super surprised. Now, this one is one of the first Sauvage Elixir flankers to get hyped up. I've talked about this before. I don't know for sure if this was the first to market, but I do know for sure this was the first one to market that caught on and got a bunch of recognition. At this point, there are other clones out there and you can do some digging around. This one's still going to be one of the best dollar for dollar Sauvage Elixir clones. And again, legitimately, it's $20, maybe $22, maybe $25, some places that you might look. Maybe sometimes it's a bit less than 20. I think I've seen it on FragranceNet for like 17 or something. It's pretty much dirt cheap, and you might expect with that low cost to have a low quality inferior scent, but it is impressive for the price. Quality is great, performance is great, it's super accurate. This stuff is going to be something that, if you're not a fan of clones, this might change your mind a little bit. Next up, we have Ferragamo Acqua Essenziale Colonia. I love this stuff. I've talked about it quite a bit before on the channel as well. So Ferragamo, typically, they're going to have some more affordable scents out there. You've got the Uomos, which are a little bit more than this, $45, $50, $55. Then there's, on the cheaper end of things, F Black, just the F series in general. They've got a bunch of stuff, right? What I love so much about this is that it has a world-renowned master perfumer behind it, one that you have definitely heard of and smelled a lot of his creations, and it's Alberto Marias, the guy that did Acqua di Gio, the whole lineup. He did this as well, and typically his offerings are just going to be more expensive, more than double the cost of this. And so I do think it's cool that you can get something from him that is a little bit more entry level in terms of price. And it shows through that he made this one. It does have great quality for the price, and definitely something that's easy to sleep on, easy to forget about. It's not flashy. It's not a huge name. I mean, Ferragamo's big, but they don't have the same type of notoriety that Armani and Dior, YSL, Chanel, Gucci, etc. has. But this one is a great, great offering for the price point. If you're on a budget, this stuff is one you need to look at. Very aquatic with a heavy aromatic, masculine, classy base. The sage, the lavender, geranium, everything in here. It smells great. A little bit of a petitgrain, spicy, kind of green kick as well, with a tiny bit of a sweetness, which is a bit interesting. This stuff is really nice. Next up, we have Mugler Cologne. Do you guys remember this stuff? I mean, when I was first getting started, it was all over the place, just getting hyped up for some reason. This is the OG bottle. Now, these days, you're likely going to be getting it in the form of Mugler Come Together. So that's probably what you'll be getting it as. This is like the OG bottle. And this is not my OG bottle. Like, I had it back in the day when I was first starting out my channel, actually, 2017, end of that year. Something ended up coming up where I ended up trading that bottle or selling that bottle for something else. More so recently, like within the past, I don't know, year or so, these OG bottles came up on FragranceNet. I was able to pick one up. I sent out an email, and a lot of other people were able to pick a bottle up as well. So that was a surprise, and definitely glad to have this one back again. So, there is still hope that you can get yourself an OG bottle if you're on the lookout. Get on my mailing list, texting list. I'll notify you anytime something rare and discontinued comes up. But this one is great. It's soapy, clean vetiver, just to the max. And again, to double down on the fact that it is a soapy men's scent, it smells like an expensive soap that you would find at like a nice Airbnb or hotel or something. That's been used before. I did not come up with that, but it's the most accurate way to describe this one. It is completely inoffensive to the max. Pure XS by Paco Rabanne, something that's actually pretty unique. Not Pure XS Night, which I love, but it's a bit more expensive, a bit harder to find. Pure XS Night, or Pure XS, the original is what we're talking about. So this one has sugar, myrrh, a little bit of a boozy note in here, kind of a slightly suede, leathery undertone. It's so nice. It's bubbly, addicting, has a little bit of, again, a sugary sweetness going from the fact that it has sugar in here, but it's a really interesting mixture of a bright, bubbly, effervescent sparkle and then a sweeter, heavier kind of undertone. Great gourmand, great for fall, great for early spring as well, believe it or not. With that added freshness that this one has that you might not expect, it gives it a lot of versatility. And when this one first came out and I got it in, I wasn't in love with it. I don't know what it was about it. I just didn't really find it to be all that interesting at first. Now, over the years, I have really changed my mind on this one to the point where, again, I smell it and I just think that's amazing. It truly is kind of an addicting one. You know, once you get it on a few times and you start to come around to it and you warm up to it, you just find yourself wanting to smell it a lot. Great stuff for a low price. Next up, we have Mont Blanc Explorer. So this is a Creed Aventus clone from the designer side of things. You know, typically a lot of your clones you'll see are from Armaf and other dedicated clone brands. This one is from a big designer. And so, you know, when you can get this for $40 and Aventus is going for, you know, upwards of $300 or more, you know, that's another big price spread there. And a lot of people just don't want to spend that type of money on Aventus, and I don't blame you. So this is where you can kind of save a lot of money and leverage that money that you saved for other fragrances or just for other important things in life. And again, this is not the only Aventus clone out there. This is actually still one of the newer ones. Like, there have been so many more clones before Explorer, but it's still a notable one worth mentioning. Because it's from a designer brand, I think this one has a bit more appeal. It's going to be more widespread, more well-known. It's easier to get in stores, which I don't recommend paying retail, but I know people are going to do it. Again, discounters for $40. Retail is going to be 80 or more. So, you know, just think about that before you do it. You should really get it on discounters. But the clone brands just aren't going to have the same type of appeal. If somebody asks you what you're wearing in public and, you know, you say Armaf Club de Nuit Intense Man, that's not really something that people are going to know. It's a little bit bizarre. You could say Mont Blanc, and they're going to know exactly what that consists of. Or you could just lie and say Creed Aventus, and then they probably might not know what it is, but they'll look it up later and think that you're just, you know, some rich dude. So regardless of how you want to handle that, I like Mont Blanc Explorer for the fact that it's a designer clone. This next one is every bit of $25, $30, the original Bentley For Men. This one's got rum, cinnamon, leather. It's a boozy, masculine, old school scent that smells great. It's a powerhouse. I mean, talk about a strong one. Same with Bentley For Men Intense. I mean, it's even more extreme. But this one's a bit more tame. I think a little bit more easygoing. If you're someone who has struggled with Bentley For Men Intense and you want to give it another try, and you just want something that's a little bit more forgiving, the original is still around and it's still cheap and it's easy to get on discounters and it's worth a try. Now, I like them both. There are times where I'll go for the Intense when it's really cold out in winter. There are times where maybe it's a bit more mild, or I'm just, you know, kind of wanting something just a little bit lighter and less dense, and I'll go for the original. It just depends. At the price point that these fall at, the entire Bentley For Men line, they are definitely worth looking into if you're on a budget. And even if you're not on a budget, if you can go out and buy a bunch of niche and stuff or expensive designers, these are still worth looking at. Last up, we have Lacoste Match Point, the Eau de Parfum. I think it's a really good, affordable green spring scent with a unique twist. It's got citruses, patchouli, vetiver. It smells nice, refreshing, clean, green. Smells like a spring day when the birds are chirping and the sun is out and it just feels warm and everything's coming back to life. I don't know what it is about it. That's what it's like. I know these are tennis themed, but it kind of reminds me of like just being out on the golf course on a spring morning. I don't golf, but that's kind of just what I would picture in my head. You know, green as far as the eye can see. Beautiful weather, just being outside after a long winter. That's what this one smells like. And again, going back to it, it's a Lacoste, so these are going to be a little bit more price sensitive. I think these are going for around $40. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some affordable scents that smell a lot more expensive than what they go for on discounters. It's important to shop at discounters to make this make sense. So use the links down below, pick them up there. Again, if you're on the hunt for anything rare, discontinued, or hard to find, you can jump on my mailing list and texting list and I'll get you taken care of. Anytime something cool comes up, I'll send out a notification. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.